Hello, good day. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis, and this is my art channel. Today, we're going to be doing a double watercolor. Got two paintings cooking up at the same time. These are on the same size paper, a 6" by 8" paper, both the same thickness, 300 GSM, and one is cold press, meaning rougher kind of paper on the right, and the other is hot press, meaning a smoother paper on the left. You can see already with just a few strokes with the wash brush, the texture of the cold press already shines through. You can see the roughness, little jaggediness of the paper shining through there, especially in the more saturated kind of blue area there. But speeding along through this wash. Not trying to keep y'all here for too long. I've got pretty small paintings here today. I'm going right into a 1" brush. What am I thinking? This is a script brush, a kind of brush. Feels like a round, but it is a bit longer than it is wide, versus the round brushes do tend to be a little bit plumper. This in turn gives me some pretty good finesse on the lines. Makes some interesting kind of strokes and a lot of linear patterns that you'll see to come up throughout the paintings as we build and kind of develop layer upon layer of watercolor. Working with a smaller brush forces honestly a more intimate and intricate kind of painting, something that will be a bit more detail oriented than if I did the whole thing with that one wash brush. As tempting as it may be, it is good to switch brushes once in a while and get a new kind of stroke going. That said, I am not sure if I ever actually change brushes from here on out. It might be the rest with this. Well, we'll see. Kind of both in tune for this, for that part. Going in with cool colors to start. Honestly, the way that I picked out my colors to start this painting was I looked at the palette and I looked at the wells, and I just went with the blue that had the most paint in it because I figure that I've used it the least so far, and I want to kind of push myself to use these colors that I might be avoiding for one reason or another. I might have used it more in the past, depending on which painting you're looking at, but overall this is the most full well on my palette, so I gotta make a dent in it. There's a couple of colors that at this point you can see the bottom of the well. I think that goes for the carmine. That's been my favorite color in the palette, and the video's up from December, so like 5 months of age for this palette, for those wells that I filled on the videos. So I feel like it's a pretty good lifespan. I made a lot of paintings with that initial fill up, and I've still got like half of a tube of each of these colors left, so when the time comes, just poop out another little bit of color and I'm ready to go with some more. That said, I feel like working with this one singular palette for the past few months has really developed a new kind of color language for me. I'm really comfortable with mixing some of these colors now, and I feel like with each painting I get more and more accustomed to what is available, and I'm able to choose better colors because of that. Like, I know what kind of purple I'm gonna make mixing my violet and my blue. I know what kind of green I'm gonna make mixing my yellow and my blue. That said, I have 2 yellows, 3 blues, 3 reds, so it's really a toss-up of how much I mix each of those tones to make the secondary or tertiary kind of color. There's a lot of variation in that, and due to how I'm mostly painting this wet on wet kind of technique, I'm not totally in control of how much pigment is on the page at all times. I feel like I'm developing that kind of strength and I guess a bit of muscle memory of how the pigment lays on the paper and how it interacts with the water. I have been learning that the way that the pigment picks up by the water is different for every paint. So some of them will have the pigment collect, like you might see that for the blues especially on this palette. Like, I feel like that there's this one indigo stroke on both paintings where you can see a lot of the water feature, the receding kind of water. I forget the actual technical term for it, but where the water is receding, but then you see a high saturation point where all of the pigment for the indigo has gone. And it is a bit of a learning process of like which colors are going to do that and which colors mixing can reduce that, and what do I actually want when I put the paint down. I feel like the warmer colors, especially the cadmium yellow, is a little softer and blends everything together, and I feel like that's why a lot of the times when I do mix a green, it fills out the page really nicely and a lot better than some of my other raw colors. And I mean, in general, I feel like pre-mixing a color works a little better than trying to mix a specific color directly on the paper. The paper is absorbing some of that water and some of that pigment at the same time as you're trying to mix it, and it can be results may vary kind of situation depending on the paper, like the cold press versus the hot press. This cold press is going to be absorbing a lot more of the liquid, and you can even see as the painting progresses, as both of them start to dry out, the left will start to recede really fast and the right will stay really buckled for probably another few hours. Usually I leave the paintings on for like a day or 2 before I rip them off, just to let all the like paper fluctuations happen. But I digress. The point is that mixing 2 colors, 3 colors, 4 colors, it doesn't matter. It's totally doable on the paper. I'm doing it now on the paper, but it is preferable if you're seeking a specific tone, a specific kind of color or gradation, to mix it before putting it onto the page. And I feel like I haven't done that so much in the past, but I haven't been so comfortable with the palette that I'm working with in the past either. This is probably the most that I've worked with a single palette so far in my life. Like, I feel like in the past, especially working with like oils or acrylics, like I get a variety of tubes, and the big tube is like a white, and then medium tube is like blue, red, yellow, and then I get tiny tubes for like anything else, and they run out at different sort of levels. And because of that, I'm always changing the palette as well. Like I run out of a tube and I don't grab the specific color. Again, I might grab Naples yellow instead of cadmium yellow, or alizarin instead of magenta. Just coming up with some random pigments for thought. But you know, if you're working by tube, then it's really easy to remove a color or add a color. But having like a palette made of these wells, like I could go in and just pop one of them out and replace it with something else. I do probably still have some extra wells somewhere. I could even take one of these full wells and replace it with two halves and add two colors. But I feel like being locked in with the decisions that I made on a random day in December of these are the colors that I'm going to be working with on this palette, it's a bit more restrictive than I've worked in the past, and I feel like it's helping me grow as an artist and developing a new kind of relationship with color. I feel like in the past I've avoided it and kind of kept to either monochrome kind of things with a single tone or a single color on different tones and shades, or even just no color, just black and white paintings. I was doing a lot of those in like 2019, 2020. Most of my paintings then were actually just black and white. It's kind of interesting to do those, by the way, because it is weird to use black paint and white paint actually, because mix them and you get weird grays, right? It's all it is like a color. It's not just like you can't add like a void to it, although I guess there is like a black 3 or something like that, like the color that absorbs all light and you can like hardly see. But when it comes to like Mars black or Ivory black, those are like the two main ones that I remember using. They do mix into like actual colors, like one's cooler than the other, one's warmer than the other, and as you mix white into it, the white is pretty neutral, but you do end up getting some interesting tones based on which kind of black you choose. That's why on the palette like this, I don't even have black. I'm just gonna mix them myself with purple, blue, all the colors in the palette to try to get something darker. Yeah, I feel like I've talked more about just the philosophy of painting than actually just what we've been painting here. But do let me know in the comments which of these two you prefer, left painting, right painting. Left painting on the hot press, right painting on the cold press. I think I'm partial to the painting on the right. I like the texture and how that sort of feels and comes off on the painting. Yeah. I totally forgot to refocus the camera at this stage. So here's a blurry finish to the video. I might just go back and grab some footage now of the dried piece, so it's not blurry all the way through the outro. But without further ado, leave a like if you like the video, comment how you thought of the painting, and I hope to see you here next Friday. Have a great weekend. Peace.